All right, all of you Disney fans, you tuned in for another magical installment of DizRadio and the DizRadio Show. And as we continue to bring you the magic and memories from your lifetime of Disney, whether that's voiceover, acting, animation, movies, television, you name it, with us here this week is somebody that's no stranger to any of that. You know him from a variety of different things, with credits including That's So Raven, Jag, so many others. Of course, everybody knows him as Coach Tugnut from Even Stevens, and so much more. We have none other than Jim Wise here. Welcome to DizRadio.
Thank you, Jonathan. Wow, you have such energy. That is what a fantastic intro. Although I don't know if people really remember me from Jag. But that's okay.
You would be surprised what your fan base would know you from. I mean, you know, it's one of those where once they catch an actor that they love, you will find every little tidbit, even an uncredited role, cameo in a movie, you know, they will follow you, and I'm sure your fans know.
Yeah, well, I've got a huge uncredited role. Actually, I look like an extra in in Space Jam. The original. It's like, I can't remember what my credit is, but wait, can we talk about movies that aren't Disney?
Yes, definitely. You know, it spans your entire, you know, it's almost like a 6 degrees of Disney. You know, there always is that Disney loophole, but many other things that play a part in everyone's lives, you know, sitting down, watching those movies and cartoons and you name it.
I'm excited to see the new Space Jam with LeBron. I think that's coming out this summer, maybe. So anyway.
Yeah, Looney Tunes definitely need a jump start once again, but I guess getting back to you, you know, you've been doing so many different things, you know, over the years, from, you know, actor, singer, voice actor, writing music, so much more. I guess, what got you started into this as a lifelong career? I mean, were you just goofing off in school, where you're like, I want a job where I can just pretend all the time? How did you land it?
I don't think I ever articulated it that way, but I may have been thinking that all along. I had a friend who once said, when I was in college, I needed to take a nap. And he said, you know, you can't take a nap in the real world. And I said, well, maybe I'll have a job that will allow me to take naps. And what I do allows me to take naps. I don't take one every day, but yeah, you know, I bounced around a lot, and I just enjoy doing all those things that you mentioned, and I was doing them anyway, like from, you know, ever since I could remember. I was into comedy and singing and writing songs and all that stuff. So I just turned it into, I realized I can get paid for it, and then so I kept doing it. And you know, various, I mean, the Groundlings theater, I don't know if your listeners know about the Groundlings. It's a theater in Los Angeles. And when I got out of school, I started taking classes there, and I kind of got into the pipeline of performing regularly there. It's a whole system. But anyway, the Groundlings allowed me to do all, you know, facets of performance and writing. So that's, if I were to say where did it start, all of it would be at the Groundlings.
Well, you know, and it's been fruitful for you. I mean, because you've been part of so many different things over the years, from voice work and video games, as well as television. And of course, I guess before we spiral out of control into other things, of course, all the Disney fans out there, and Even Stevens, which was this nugget in time before Disney Channel exploded into what it is now, and of course the Disney streaming service, Disney Plus. How did you land the role for, you know, Even Stevens, and, you know, being part of this now a cult Disney Channel show, actually?
I auditioned for it. I mean, they obviously they had me come in and read, and I did the pilot, and it was a relatively small role, and I got it, and we shot the pilot, and then the next thing I hear is, we're gonna do more, and they put me in more and more, and then actually, when Mark Warren and Dennis Rinsler took over the show, I had worked with Matt Dearborn, the creator of the show, on another show that he either created or was a big part of. Anyway, he called me and I auditioned, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't a regular part, you know, it was like recurring. And then when Dennis Rinsler and Mark Warren took over as showrunners, my son was, my wife was pregnant. I don't know how to put it delicately. But she was pregnant. And I told these guys and they said, oh, well, we'll keep you working. And from that point on, they put me in pretty much every episode until the series was, it became a more important part of the show, you know? So that was good.
Well, and with that too, it's one of those roles where, I'm glad it was more part of the show, honestly, because if you think about it, that banter, that fun, and of course, you can't go wrong with a name like Tugnut. I mean, I guess, what was it like bringing this character to life? Because it was the epitome of, I guess, pretty much most gym teachers that everybody remembers growing up.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was kind of a mosaic of old teachers I had, is that the right word? A collage of, different personalities. But the one guy that I used to imitate all the time in high school was the Dean of Men. I went to this all-boys Catholic school here in L.A., and the Dean of Men was whenever there was an event, I would come out and impersonate the Dean of Men, and that is basically what I'm doing as Coach Tugnut. The Dean of Men, he's a great guy, but I always kind of took on a likable idiot persona with him, and so that's kind of what Tugnut is. I think. I mean, he's a dope. And by the way, and anybody who's performed, there's nothing more fun than playing a dummy or a bad guy, and he's kind of both.
Well, and with that too, being on the set then, and doing all these, fun little bits. And of course, the show just, like I said, it has this fan appeal. And of course, now being on Disney Plus streaming service and whatnot, I guess with that, how fun was it to be on the set and working along with, they always say, don't work with kids and animals, and you're working with kids. So what was it like, working with this, young group of actors and actresses that went on to crazy films later on?
Yeah, I mean, it is startling to look at, obviously Shia's career. I mean, he was just a squirt when we shot the pilot. He was, his voice hadn't changed. He was really, I think maybe he was aware of the groundlings, and so he really looked up to me, and it was nuts, but it was fun. I mean, obviously I was a man. The most fun I had was with Tom Virtue, who played Shia's dad, and Donna Pesca. We had a lot of fun on off the set, and it's just hanging out with them. That was a lot of fun. George Bell, all the adults, but the kids, they had, and you could see it in some of the episodes. They had like this kind of a band going where Shia would play the drums. And there was an episode, Band on the Roof, but I don't know if it came out of this or not, and Twitty played the guitar, and AJ Trout. And, I'm a musician as well, so a couple of times there was a bass, and so there'd be this jam session, an impromptu jam session in one of the break rooms, where we were playing like Weezer songs and stuff like that. So it was pretty fun to hang out with, these kids. I at one point said, oh God, we should, I've played in bands all my life. We should do this. We should go out there. And I think AJ said, yeah, but dude, you're so old. It's not going to happen. Anyway, it was, that was a fun memory. And, everybody, Christy, Tawny, what's her name? Margot Harshman. I haven't thought about, I haven't seen, we had a reunion maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And, Shia's doing his stuff. I just, watched, Honey Boy. And, which was, apparently, going on when we were working together. I had no idea. Not to bring the room down, but it was pretty bleak. That kid had a really, it's rough, man. Child actors, if you don't, You can't use any of this. This is going to be too sad.
Well, I guess to pep it back up and bring it back full circle, bring some smiles to everybody. I guess with that said, then I guess working with the child actors, and of course George Bell was a past guest on our show here. Great guy to talk to. I guess with that, being on the set, was there any episode or one day that you just had the most fun filming for yourself? Like you're just like, this is the best day. I love it. Was there one that stands out, or was it the influenza episode, which you had the pleasure of writing the music for, which remains to be the #1 most popular episode of the entire series whenever we ask anybody?
That's nice to hear. Yeah, that was a great, I think it took us 2 weeks to do it as opposed to one for a regular episode. But yeah, that was a blast, and it was there's nothing better. And actually, there's nothing better than having your words be sung. I mean, we were in the studio to record everything beforehand, and it was just a great experience. That whole influenza. John Coda, who is the composer, and I are good friends, and we worked together and putting that music together. And he's a genius. So I learned a lot from him. But yeah, that was a good one. Also, there was one I remember where I had to eat a burrito in fast motion, or a wrap or something, or a donut. I can't remember. I had to eat something fast. And they ended up speeding it up anyway, but I ate it so fast on the set that I bit my finger, and you can see my reaction in the episode. Even though they speed it up, it was just goofing off. It's fun.
I was ready to say, though, so over the years, of course, because the show was so popular, how many times do people come up to you and they're singing, they went to the moon in 1969?
I don't think people put it together that I wrote the songs. I do get recognized, to this day as Coach Tugnut by people in their 30s, It's kind of funny. When the show was on, it was nonstop because kids are like sponges, and they remember everything, and they remember faces, and I was never, but coming up and singing a song is not, doesn't happen to me. But, it was pretty cool. I think it was last year, maybe a couple of years ago now, where Cardi B posted that she couldn't get this song out of her head. She goes why do I know this? She goes, we went to the moon in 1969, and she could why do I know that song? And it was just so funny to see somebody who's where she is now. She was a kid. She saw that episode.
Well, and like I said, it remains to be one of the most popular ones. And you wrote other songs, of course, like Dream Vacation for the Even Stevens movie. And, I guess with that, with Disney Plus now, the streaming service and all that, I guess, are you ready for the barrage of people to start, coming up to you and saying, Coach Tugnut? And now they're introducing it to their kids. And, my children, I have 4 kids, and they have discovered Even Stevens on Disney Plus now, and they're just obsessed with the show.
Oh, that's awesome. No, that's great. I mean, of course, you want your work to be appreciated, and the kids are the best audience, I think. I mean, that they're just so enthusiastic, and I've got 2 teenagers. I don't think they don't really care.
Now, aside from Even Stevens, of course, so many other things going on. You've also done, I guess the one thing that I guess I could bring up in the animated world that everybody would love is providing a singing voice for Spongebob. What was it like being the singing voice for Spongebob? Because, he's iconic in his own way. Dueling network, but iconic in his own way.
Sure. Well, the funny thing is Tom Kenny is an old friend of mine, the voice of SpongeBob. And I remember when I got called in to audition for it, I told him, it's a parody of I Want to Rock. I'm a goofy goober. And he says, I don't know why they don't get what was the guy's name from Twisted Sister? Dee Snider to do it. And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm going to audition for it. And I was in there. I was out at Nickelodeon, and the casting director called me in for a bunch of stuff, knew that I sang, and I was in the waiting area with all these rock and roll guys. And, you know, I'm an older gentleman. I don't have any piercings or tattoos. But I go into the recording booth, and it was like 10 in the morning, and the voice really doesn't warm up until, you know, whatever, later in the day. But I go in there, and I just gave it my all. I just, like it was a workout. Like every muscle in my body was tensed up when I did it, and I guess it sounded like what they wanted, and yeah, I went up to Tom Rothrock's studio to record it, and it was like, wow, I can't believe this. And I, you know, went to go see the movie, and there it was, and that is one thing that my kids still, like, you know, will tell their friends, that they're, you know, that's my legacy with their friends, is that I sang Goofy Goober Rock. But I don't think I could do it right now, I'll tell you that much.
Well, you know, and it's one of those two, which, you know, giving it your all, and of course that stamp and that being part of the animated world. Now, lending your voice to things, that's a whole nother ball of wax. I guess, what is it like going into the studio, lending your voice, and what are some of the favorite projects that you've worked on, you know, doing animated voices, either for video games, movies, you name it? I mean, you've done everything from Hotel Transylvania all the way through, you know, Real Monsters, you name it. So I guess, you know, what was it like sagging way into that?
You know, it's just one of those things. It's you know, I have a great agent, Sutton Barth and Benari, and they put me out for stuff, and like the most fun, I think, is maybe because it was a long-term gig, and this is quite a while ago, was on the show Dilbert, which is you know, it's a panel. You've seen it's a comic, and they had like an animated series for a little while. So that was fun. Doing utility voices. That's how I know Tom Kenny. And I'm trying to think of what else. Just the most fun I've had doing. Well, the great thing about Hotel Transylvania was meeting Mel Brooks. Like he was in the booth right before me, and that was a treat because you know, obviously Mel Brooks is a living legend. That's the most fun, I guess. It's the room, you know. I did a show called Heavy Gear, and the room was just like a bunch of, you know, it was star-studded. It was a bunch of actors that, you know, did a lot of voiceover, but you recognize them from the television. You know, David DeLuise, Clancy Brown. David was on Wizards of Waverly Place, and I actually did an episode of that not too long. Well, actually, that was like 13 years ago. Man, time is relative. I'll tell you that.
Time does fly, especially because, you know, when I look at some of your credits, you know, I think back to when my two of my kids were way younger, and, you know, being part of like Higglytown Heroes, and I'm like, oh, I remember so many 6 a.m. mornings watching that show with them.
Yeah, that was I'm glad you brought that up, because that was hands down. That was actually the best one. That was the most fun. The only thing that was that didn't offer was the room. Because when you record in a room, it's a lot of fun, and you bang it out real fast, and everybody's got, you know, they're a bunch of actors, so everybody's kind of funny in their own way. But Higglytown, I recorded by myself because they were very cool. Maria Estrada hired me to do the voice of Fripp, who was the dad, and his hook basically was just starting a sentence by laughing. Okay, kids. You know, just kind of like doing that. And I was working as a writer at MADtv at the time, and they would record me on my schedule, which is such a luxury. Really lucky. So those were those were very busy times, but really fun and a fun show, and a show I can, the kids can watch. So, or they don't, not now, but back in the day they could. Yeah.
Well, and with that too, doing, voices like that, going in there, you're acting, you still got to give it your all. Now, how different is that from when you're doing a video game? Because, you could do everything from grunts, groans, and one-liners to how the heck do you provide voices for like Tony Hawk Pro Skater? Like, are you just grunting or, how hard is it to do a video game?
I honestly don't remember that one in particular, but I know it's on my credits, but it was probably like, it's a burn on the voice, for sure, because, you're not supposed, as a vocalist, anybody knows you're not supposed to cough, you shouldn't clear your throat, and then you go into do a voiceover for 2 hours or whatever, and all you're doing is reacting to, in this scene, your character is having a spear go through his head, so we want to hear him scream, but we want it cut off really quickly, stuff like that. Not that all video games are violent, but yeah, you're right. It's a lot of grunting. It's a lot of, some. Where I can't remember what game it was, but it was like, okay, you need to die, but you need to like kind of be happy about dying. I'm like, what? So it's like relief. I guess they wanted relief. I don't know what they wanted.
I was going to say, it has to be the kind of thing where you come home from work, you're talking with your wife. She's like, what'd you do today? Well, I just spent the last 6 hours grunting, groaning, and sighing.
Yeah, I remember one time, it was just an audition when my son was very young, probably between 1 and 2, but I brought him with me to my voiceover agents, and it was for like a Lord of the Rings game, and I was reading to be like the head orc or something. And so I had my son Connor in the booth with me, and I can't remember what the copy was, but it was like a lot of just pull up this, and then Connor points to the microphone. He goes, me, and I lift him up in front of the microphone, and he goes, yeah. And now, actually, he had a pretty good run with Sophia the First. He played a few characters on different episodes before his voice changed, because now he's almost 18. But like when he was 12 and before his voice dropped, he booked some voiceover as well, which is kind of a fun thing to share with him.
Definitely, having that bond and everything together. Now, I guess, aside from, all right, so now you've done voice work, video games, acting, so many things that, people, it plays a part in their life, whether that's the kid sitting there playing video games nonstop, or the Disney Channel kid, or the Nick kid, or whatever it may be. But you also do writing and comedy, and, we're able to participate with the Jay Leno show and things like that. MADtv. What is it like just sitting down and just hammering out really good bits?
Well, I mean, again, it's the room dynamic that's so fun. At MADtv, we had different groups of writers, and a lot of them I knew from the Groundlings, and so we would, those were I would say the hardest I've laughed ever. So there's nothing wrong with that. Writing bits with a group of people can be a blast. Leno was more writing, producing, editing, the whole, just producing a segment. And so that was more or less, a one-man show, like you're flying solo for doing those things. The fun part of that is sitting in the edit bay, because there's usually a comfortable couch, and you're in charge, and nobody bothers you. That's the best part about being a segment producer.
Now, with this, so many different things on your credits, all over the board, so many different things. And of course, always circling back to Even Stevens and now being on Disney Plus and whatnot. And Christy has her web series and so many different things. Are we ever going to see, in the age of Disney Channel reboots, refreshes, continuations, reunions, are we ever going to see an Even Stevens reunion?
That would be great. That would be a lot of fun. I mean, obviously it's a very fun group of people. I guess Shia is the linchpin on that. I don't think you could have one without that, without Shia. But yeah, I mean, we're all still alive, right? Right? I hope I didn't say anything untoward. But we're all, you had George on, and have you had Tom Virtue on or Donna?
No, we have not had them as guests on our show yet, so, maybe we'll have to reach out and get them in here. If we can get enough people wrangled behind this, I think we can make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's, from your mouth to God's ears. Sometimes I have pitch meetings over at Disney, and I've never brought it up. Because I didn't create it. So it would have to be a, Matt Dearborn, Shia LaBeouf, production. They'd have to, and Matt Dearborn and Tom Burkhart are still in the Disney fold. They have a show. I think they shoot in Vancouver. But anyway, it would have to be from them, And I'd love to do it, but I have no power.
I mean, I could see it happening too, because, of course, Shia has gotten a lot bigger, whatnot, of course. So, all we have to do is just get the series, get the, main people, even Christy, come on there as all the regulars, yourself, Tom, all those guys. And Shia pops in maybe 4 episodes out of the season, so at least he made his appearance, and it satisfies the fans.
You've got it all figured out. I'm glad you have it mapped out so well. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it would go down. I was just hearing, this is totally unrelated, but sort of similar, is that in Eddie Murphy's final season at Saturday Night Live, they shot all of his stuff because he was so busy with movies and whatnot. They shot all of his stuff, all of his sketches for the season, I think in, I don't have it exactly right, but in an abbreviated amount of time, like maybe over a weekend. They shot a whole bunch of Eddie Murphy sketches for the season because he couldn't be there otherwise. So it wasn't actually live. So if we did that with Shia, what I'm saying is have it, block it out so that it's written so you could shoot all the Shia stuff. Okay, Shia, go change your shirt and go walk into the kitchen. Okay, Shia, take your shirt and walk into the gymnasium. I don't know. Also, the other thing is you'd have to figure out why is Tubnut still in their lives if they're all adults? He's a sad guy, isn't he, Tubnut?
I think when it comes to education, though, you guys could be part of the series in the school no matter what, because, think about it. Mr. Feeney followed Boy Meets World all the way through college, and you guys, you could just be now the coach who has to interact with, Shia and Christy's kids. Got it.
Yeah, it's the new generation. Even Stevens, the next generation. And Nick Spano. He hit me up on Facebook recently and said, hey, we're gonna get together tomorrow, and I couldn't do it. And I said, I can't do it, but, keep me posted. And I never heard back. Oh, I happen to offend him by not showing up. But I get busy. Well,
with that said, we know you're busy. You have so many different things going on, of course. And, it was our pleasure having you stop in. But I guess for all the people's lives who you've touched over the years, whether that's video games, your writing, comedy, animation, even Stevens, everything that you've been part of, for everybody that, they're watching these shows, they have these memories, they grow up with fond memories of these and pass them down to their children as well. Is there any final words you'd like to leave out there for all those listening in?
Oh, just thank you. It's to make a living doing what I've been doing for the last 30 years is, that's just ridiculous that somebody gets paid to do these hijinks. But there's some jobs are more difficult than others, but the ones where you're being recorded or you're allowed to, act on stage or act at all, I mean, that's a bonus. I mean, it's the having people enjoy it. That's what it's all about.
Very cool. It was our pleasure having you stop in. Of course, I'm sure we're going to be seeing more of you in the future and many other things. And of course that Even Stevens reboot. So, everybody listening in, make sure to put that in there. Hashtag Even Stevens reboot and just like flood Disney's gates with it. So, with that, we'd love to, thank you for stopping in, Jim, chat with us, take this trip in the past, the future, and so much more. And it was our pleasure having you stop on.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast.